Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Conservatish, episode 269. It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? It's been about 2 months since the last episode, but I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to take a little breaky poo. All right? You get this shit for free, motherfucker. We'll talk about that in just a second. But you can support this podcast and my music at patreon.com/conservatish or just Venmo my fucking ass. I don't give a fuck. At Venmo.com/ what is it? No, the handle. There you go. I'm so professional. Peter-Feliciano. So before I start talking about Jessica Solce, who is the guest today, I want to give a little commercial to start. Because yes, I've been busy doing these other things, right? I've been composing music for a friend's short film. I've been, shooting guns with Dan Berman. I've been, doing all kinds of fun stuff. But I'm still kind of censorship heavy. I'm still throttled. I'm still shadow banned, right? And as I get started into this thing again, get back into making more conservatish episodes, I wanted to kind of have a heart-to-heart with you, mostly because I want to tell you about No Ad Dollar Day. And, okay, so here's the deal. You and I don't like censorship, right? We don't like that the lizards throttle Peter Feliciano. We don't like that, right? But our communication mechanism between us and Mark fucking Zuckerberg is broken, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's mainly broken for two main reasons. Number one, we get it for free. So they're going to do whatever the fuck they want, right? That's number one. Kind of like Conservatish. And number two, it's a monopoly, right? It's not like there's another Instagram. Like, nobody likes Twitter the way that they like Instagram. Nobody likes Twitter or Instagram the way that they like Twitter. It's a different thing. It's a different means of communication. And everybody, literally the monthly users is over 3 billion motherfuckers for Meta. 3 billion, right? So, since we get it for free, how does Meta make money? 97% of their revenue is through advertising. Okay? 97% of their revenue is advertisements. What that means is you and I spend a certain amount of time on Instagram, on Facebook, and that's traffic that is recorded by Meta, and then they can turn around to advertisers and say, look at how long people spent online. Give us fucking money to advertise. And so they pay them. So who is Meta beholden to? It ain't you and me. This ain't like Jiffy Lube where you can take your business somewhere else, so Jiffy Lube has to act right? Although they don't. You should go somewhere else. Or just change your own oil. So there's no way for us to communicate our dissatisfaction with censorship, with throttling, with shadow banning, with whatever, except for using the thing that does make them money, squeezing them in their wallets, speaking their language. They don't speak user language. You're the fucking product, right? So let's speak their language, and we're doing that with No Ad Dollar Day. No Ad Dollar Day is this November 9th, Thursday, November 9th. We're going to spend the entire day off of Meta social media. No Instagram, no Facebook for the entire day of Thursday, November 9th. And with one message: fucking stop censoring us, you stupid white lizards. That's what we're communicating. One thing. No Ad Dollar Day, Thursday, November 9th. We are consciously separating ourselves and saying, you're not getting my fucking eyeballs. Monetize this dick, nigga. That's what we're saying for one day. Thursday, November 9th. I'm already 4 minutes in and I've already said nigga. So welcome back to Conservatish, ladies and gentlemen. I love you. I miss you. This is a great episode with Jessica Solce. Let's talk about this real quick before we get it kicked off. So I was at PorkFest and I saw a movie called Death Athletic. It was a preview, and the movie is actually coming out tomorrow, October 21st, Saturday, October 21st, and that's available everywhere, but go to deathathletic.com. And the movie was all about following Cody Wilson, the ghost gun guy, the 3D printer renegade guy, For 8 years, Jessica Solce followed him around and documented his journey. It's an incredible movie, incredible documentary. I cannot recommend it enough. So go to deathathletic.com and watch it tomorrow, October 21st. But in the interim, you and I are going to hear me and her talk about her processes of creativity, anarchy, 3D printing guns, Me Too, all kinds of crazy shit. It's an incredible episode, and I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe, share, rate, and review, or you're racist. I love you very much. Welcome back to Conservatish. Mwah. Fantastic. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Conservatish, episode 261. My name is Peter Feliciano. Actually, this won't be 261 because we're not going to put it out for a little while. But this is just a random episode of Conservatish. My name is Peter Edgar Feliciano. And wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribe, share, rate, and review, or you're racist, because I am half Puerto Rican. And you can buy this wonderful Rage Against Boring White Liberals t-shirt on peterfeliciano.com. And we are at the wonderful Omni Hotel here in downtown Austin in the Red River Room, the famous Red River Room. So if you ever want to book for that, feel free to reach out to them. Let me know. The wonderful guest today is Jessica Solce. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
You are a filmmaker. We met over at Porkfest in New Hampshire
Last week.
Last week,
Yep.
Yeah. And I got to see the movie that you just made, Death Athletic. Mm-hmm. Great name. Where did that come from, by the way?
Well, there's a book by Peter Sloterdijk, a German philosopher, called "You Must Change Your Life." And in 2015, it seemed like there was a number of people reading it. And around that time, also, Cody Wilson put on his Twitter feed, he wrote Death Athletic. In that book, I actually did not link it till quite a little bit after, like where it came from. Peter Sloterdijk has kind of like a group of chapters about death athletes, but he's using it in a very kind of religious terminology in the book. It's kind of morphed into this idea of being death athletic in today's culture is not a literal death, but kind of can be a social, cultural death if you stand up for things that are against the current cultural norm, or, you say speech that's disliked, or quote unquote misinformation,
Sure.
Then you might have a cultural, social
Consequence.
Twitter death consequence. Right. So death athletic in these terms means, to me, individuals that are kind of bucking the system, and they're willing to have these like cultural and social deaths in order to either stand by their creations, stand by their morals, their ethics, or their ideas.
Very nicely put. I like that. I've complained about it incessantly, but I've got, at the moment, I'm sure I'll have a lot more, or I might get kicked off, 21.2 thousand followers, but, something I posted 4 hours ago has 15 likes.
Because you're shadow banned? Oh.
Now, something I posted yesterday is 1,200, so whatever. But I'm just saying it's hit and miss with how badly it is on my end.
That's on Twitter or Instagram?
Instagram. Yeah. I'm a rebel. But, okay, so Death Athletic, this is mostly about Cody Wilson, and can you talk a little bit about the germination of it?
Sure. So I'll start in actually 2013. I did a first film. I didn't know I was headed into documentary filmmaking, and this idea came across my path. I met this artist who was kind of doing a response to Sandy Hook and everything, the very emotional response, but it was going to be beautiful. And I started filming him, and I knew that I had to find his opposite. And that first weekend that I filmed him, he actually introduced me, not physically, but introduced me to the idea of Cody, because Cody had just come out with, a few months prior with he was putting plastic magazines online. Was it magazines? Oh my gosh, it's been so long. He had been talking about the Liberator. Everything was happening. So this artist introduced me to Cody Wilson. I soon after started talking to Cody and saying, I want to film you. So that was part of my first film, but it was really questioning if gun controls work, if there was any efficacy to them, or if it was just kind of like...
Right, and it's called No Control.
No Control.
Okay.
2015, it came out, and during the making of the film, you're attracted to the most charismatic character in the room, really.
Right, which is why she's here with me. Hey! All right, continue.
And you're just trying to make me relax. I'm not so nervous. Thank you.
That's why I get paid a lot of money. All right, continue, my dear.
So his story is very interesting. And there was a moment where I'm like, well, follow the story. But I had promised lots of people at that point what I was making. So I finished my film, No Control. Put it out. And a few months later, I was just like, you know what? I just want to continue filming. And Cody was like, okay. And the point at that moment was, for all subjects, I was very happy that my first film was made and condensed and created in a year and a half. Very short, very quick, boom.
Right.
I knew for this story that it was going to take a lot longer if I wanted to make something beyond kind of like you film for 2 days, you stretch it across a documentary, and that's the documentary. Was
that what No Control was, or because 2 years sounds
in a way, but I only filmed with Cody maybe 3 times for that film. My other main character 3 or 4 times, I think, over because there was a journey of art with him. It wasn't, you get everything in the can and you get the ideas and you package them, and then I talked to many other people on both sides of the debate and that. So it wasn't just that, but for a specific character. And I just knew that this was going to be I didn't really realize how long it was going to be, but I wanted to see what literally would happen. Is this guy going to go to prison? Is he going to win against the DOJ? Is the DOJ going to flatten him? Is it going to flatten his company? What's going to happen? So I kind of just jumped, and year after year, we'd just keep in touch, and I would say, what's happening? Okay, I got to get that. I got to come for this. And so now it's 8 years later, and the film's finally done. Right. But I laugh, and yet I don't think it could have been done absolutely in any other way.
Obviously, so I've seen the film twice now. I love it to death. And it's coming out in October, so keep an eye out for that. And if you're in Austin, L.A., where will the premieres be?
We're going to try to do premieres in Austin, so probably New York, L.A., Austin in October.
Okay.
But we also know that depending on when this comes out, the film will also be showing at Paralelní Poli. It's the Hackers Congress in Prague. Very cool. It'll also be showing maybe at Bear Arms and Bitcoin, and I'm missing something.
I don't know.
An Urbit assembly, I think.
Okay. There's a lot of words coming out that I have no idea
okay, all these words, look them up. Good stuff. So right. main cities, October.
Okay. And I've seen it a couple of times. It's a really interesting subject, and I think it was super pertinent to kind of give us a sneak peek at PorcFest. PorcFest is the Porcupine Festival, Freedom Festival, libertarian kind of anti-establishment, off-grid fun stuff. So that fits well with the theme. Which, by the way, libertarians, you got to come up with a different spokesperson. The Porcupine, nobody likes it. Come on. But anyway, it was a great film. Along your process of 8 years, I feel like there would have been, for me, after the DOJ, or after the explosion in 2018, after all this other stuff, was there any signs throughout those processes of like, okay, I think now, should I end it now? Or should I, yeah.
Sure. There was definitely some moments where I was like, oh my goodness, I need to stop this. I would say in 2018 was the first time I thought I saw kind of an end point. Mm-hmm. Because unfortunately, as you'll see in the film, we hit like a intense moment. And I also was like, well, I've been self-producing this film. If anything, this might, because people have a hard time with who Cody Wilson is, and his story just kind of exploded in that moment. Unfortunately, at the same time, that's the moment where sometimes you just get interest in the film.
Right.
So I tried to get Netflix. I had somebody going to all of them saying, "Do you want the story? And if so, then you got to pay for post, because post production is actually very expensive." And they saw a lot of the film, and the film's on the wrong side of history.
Right. And
Because
we'll definitely get into that.
it profiles someone that's right now is death athletic. They wish he would just go away, but he's not going away.
No.
But oddly enough, 10 years ago, I think this film, people love the character, I don't think he's this person, but the bad guy, the person creating the guns, somebody that can be characterized as like the evil person. We love dystopian films in this world. We talk about dystopian books, The Hunger Games, all these kind of things. But now if that person is enacting some kind of creative acrobatic anarchy in real life, now we can't talk about it. Now that don't support those films, which is sad. Right. So unfortunately in 2018, when his life kind of imploded, it was juxtaposed at the same moment because also right prior to that, he also won he didn't really win it, but he got a license to, and the government basically saying, fine, you're winning, we're going to give you a license, and you can put the Liberator out. You can do it. We're going to give it to you. So there was two things happening at the same time. So there was this okay, the law stuff is over, the boring law stuff is over.
After, 2-3 years, right?
Yes, he finally sued the government. So the government basically in 2013 just told him that this was illegal, pull him off the internet, you're in big trouble, but then would never give a response. Would never, if you're told that you're doing something illegal, government has to reply to you in a certain period of time. Uh-huh. But they were not replying. They were not responding. They wouldn't say whether it was prior restraint. They just wouldn't do it. So Cody, because he's out for the fun. He's out for the mischief. He's like, right. Well, if they're not going to do it for me, I'm going to sue them. Right. So that basically started, if I recall correctly, in 2015. Mm. And then by 2018, no one would really read the case on the merits. Mm. But at 2018, they finally said, okay, we're moving all these arms, if you will, off of the ITAR to the EAR. So they re-commodified them, I guess is the word. And then we're going to give you a special license. Okay, it's over. Let's stop talking about this. Let's sweep it under the rug. But once they did that, all these attorney generals freaked out and then sued Cody and the DOJ. So now all of a sudden DOJ and Cody are together being sued by the attorney generals, which was pretty funny and, in a sad, ironic way. Right. And then it just picked everything back up in a way. But at the same time, then he had his personal criminal things happening. So in 2018, I was like, we're nearing the end. And I think I'm going to finish filming. But that didn't happen until I got some pickup shots about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. At that time, I also noticed in the film 2018, because I had literally never heard of this dude. I had seen a couple clips of JStark, and we might talk about JStark, R.I.P. But this is the kind of the first, because for a few years, I started Conservatish in 2018. I was much more kind of. I made a meme a few months ago about it, but at the beginning of my red pilling, I was kind of MAGA. And then over a course of the last few years, I've turned much more, AR-15 and a mask. So a little more anarchist. But in that process, some of my favorite accounts the last few years have been anti-state. I know you're not really on Instagram very much, but anti-state. There's a lot of troublemakers.
Yeah,
Love a troublemaker, as you could tell from the shirt. But I was noticing in that film that right around the 2018 was right around the Me Too craziness too.
Sure.
Right. So I'm sure there was not only pressure, and it made, and from the justification of him stepping down and having Paloma come up, it made a lot of sense. And it didn't seem like, even though there was definitely that part of me, and I don't know if this was intentional from the film or whatever, where it seemed like I almost kind of wanted to start blaming her, or start blaming the board, because it was whatever. But I did hear, that it was kind of Cody's decision to kind of step down around that.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, he wanted to personally remove himself from the company because to be an individual having criminal stuff against you, it could open up his company to get criminal lawsuits. So it was a very smart decision for many reasons, but just for the lawsuit factors, they didn't want the two to mix.
Right.
So
you as a filmmaker, and this is your third film?
Second feature.
Okay. And I do want to get into your history a little bit too, but sounds like the bridge from No Control to Death Athletic was the interest, your personal interest and desire to tell the story of Cody Wilson and what's the name of the company? I totally lost my mind.
Defense Distributed.
Thank you. But when the craziness started, 2018, you're already known this person for 3 years. You're invested, whatever.
5 years.
5 years. Yeah. Was there a piece of you that was like more, how do I say it? Was there a piece of you that was more like, oh, she's full of shit? You know what I mean? Like, was there a judgment?
You mean the girl?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Was there, because when you get invested in somebody like that, I'm just interested in what your initial reactions were to the controversy. If you're open to talking about it.
Deep confusion and sadness.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone who's had anyone close get in trouble in any form of the law, there's lots of questioning and confusion and sadness and anger. And I mean, I think it's normal to feel it all.
Right.
So yeah, that was one hell of a ride. I mean, it was one hell of a ride for his life, but it's weird as a filmmaker, you invest so much into the person you're studying, if you will. It's kind of like a study.
Sure.
You're watching, you're reading, so you can, instigate conversations that will try to pull something out of someone without directing, because I don't want to direct someone into it. So it's like this play of conversation, right? To actually maybe get a real, intimate, and human response. So, I mean, that was a rough moment. I remember when I heard it, basically the moment it came out, I called him immediately and he answered. And I believed what he told me. So that doesn't, you still have to go through so many questions. Right. And then because of the film, I had to go through so much research and so much, I peeled through a lot of stuff and talked to a lot of people. So one thing about the film is, if anyone in your audience knows Cody's story, one thing that the film has is kind of like an exclusive to the criminal lawsuit that came against him. And they'll learn a little bit more about why he never went to prison.
Right. And we don't want to give it away necessarily.
Maybe not. Right. But what you said is, did I ever blame the girl? No, not blame, but did I ever have those feelings? Yeah. Of
because
course,
you're invested in this person,
sure.
And he's invested in you. You've spent time together. You've done
and
research.
And it's angering as well, because I was like, that's not where my film was supposed to go.
Right.
It was supposed to go on so many other reasons.
Am I going to have to transition to now he's a villain, et cetera? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have the story. I had somebody that I'd been trying to connect with for a number of years about Cody to see if he would come and support my film. And the moment this happens, I get an email. And I'm like, oh, that is so nasty. So nasty.
Support the film, meaning financially?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, yeah.
oh, okay.
Come in.
Right.
Because then they suddenly was like, oh, yeah, now we got a story. And I was like, no. I was like, thanks, but no thanks. So, anyways, it brings up a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
Right. And one of the things, just even in the Me Too movement kind of vibe or in the whatever. So I've done, lots of experiences. I've talked about it a little bit, and I won't go into detail. It's not because I'm, Mother Teresa or anything, but I've done a bunch of years of volunteer work at prisons and jails in California. And so actually having tactile experience with people who have done some pretty horrendous shit changed my perspective to the point of being a little bit more open about their humanity. It being in the light, it really is, it's not, even when someone is a friend of mine, that doesn't excuse their behavior or their crimes or whatever.
Sure.
But I do want to just point that out from my experience that, I've known some people who have done the worst things you can do, who have changed their life and gotten to the other side of it and become great human beings and whatever. I'm not conflating the two with Cody Wilson or whatever.
Sure.
But I am saying that as a human hearing, stories of like, I know this dude, I've seen him do incredible things. I've seen him help people. I've seen him be altruistic. I've seen him whatever. But that backstory in the back and you're like, humans are complicated.
Humans are complicated. I mean, that's the whole, the question of can you always, that always pops up every year. I feel like there's a discussion online on Twitter and be like, can you support Woody Allen's work knowing that this could be possible?
Right.
Can you support Michael Jackson knowing that this is a possible, or Roman Polanski, which we know that was possible. There's no question what he did, right? Or the mother who put her daughter in this situation, which I think is equally criminal.
Right.
But
I thought, hang on, I thought we're supposed to believe all women. I thought.
I was about to say something really nasty.
No, you're on the right show, Mama.
I'm censored myself.
I
censored myself.
No, I mean, it goes to that complicated stuff. You know what I mean? Because I've known women who have done the worst things you can do to another human being too. I mean, this is why I over and over, whether it be black people or gay people or straight people, I'm like, nope, stop with the identity politics. This is the biggest issue.
Yeah, I mean,
biggest issue.
Believe everyone and don't believe a single thing they say at the same time. Right. What is this believe everything? I mean, anything that's like a unanimous, we must put a large rug on something. It's just like this culture of now being incurious, not questioning, not asking for facts.
Where do you feel like that comes from? Because for me, I feel like that comes from it is maybe some intellectual laziness for sure, but I also think the root of it is fear. Whereas
definitely it's morphed into fear. And I think before that used to just be control and power.
Okay, touche. You mean in the way it manifests in action?
Sure. Yes.
Totally.
And then people jump into that because then it's the power, and then it becomes control, and then it's fear.
It feels good to bully people.
It's like
it feels good.
It feels good, but bullying is also turned on its head. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw the Mayor Adams video that's cycling right now.
He's I lived in Manhattan.
This older woman was, I guess, pretty upset. Well, not I guess. She's pretty upset because it's hard to live in New York and rents are high. And he turns around and he pulls the race card on her and calls himself a victim. And then it comes out that she's escaped Nazism. And I'm at one point, the cannibalism gets everyone.
Yes.
What are we even doing? At the root is, what are we going to do about rent, guys?
Right.
We're not helping anyone. We're not helping her. We're not helping the black people in New York. We're not helping. And in the end, it's not the rich people in New York that are suffering. It's everybody else.
Right.
It really is everybody else. So what is that even? That's part of this blanket fear. And then when I don't know what to do, or if my power is being questioned, I can just throw these words out.
Right. And that's why I make dumb shirts like this. That's why because I'm trying to use identity politics to kill identity politics. The thing that made the white liberals in New York and San Francisco, because I lived in both fucking places, it's the same disease. It may look differently on the front, But it's the same thing that made, Kentucky motherfuckers, with pitchforks, or whatever they had those lanterns a couple years ago, the Nazis or whatever. Suffice it to say, it's the same root, which is I want to be a part of. I feel lonely. I feel scared, and so I get to take that out and I get to bully people and be a hero for doing it.
Sure.
Right. So I'm using white guilt to try to keep my foot in the door, since I'm a half Puerto Rican. Keep my foot in the door in the conversation and make them question why they've gotten so stagnant intellectually.
Most people, and me included, if you're attacked, normally freeze up. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think in person, most people, when they come together in conversation and community, nobody's, unless you're like going to like a protest to really like invoke like anger,
Right.
When you throw these words or insults or things, most people clam up because you don't know how to respond to such a negative incitation of horror, like to be called a Nazi, to be called any of these things. So it works really, really well.
Do you feel like that, to go back to the film, whatever, it fits, do you feel like, because I remember in the movie he's talking about the psychological pressure of that happening over and over again. At a certain point, I also feel like it loses its power, because it's like, oh, you're going to call me a racist? I was called a racist I always say, I'm a fucking half spick, but I've been only called Nazi by 2 white boys. That's absolutely true. But my experience has been, oh, this is going to come up anyway. It starts to, I get a callus, Do you feel like, because he was also talking about how that also warps somebody's mind, right? And obviously there's a difference between what the media is saying and what the DOJ is doing.
Sure.
But do you feel like, oh, this is that there was a, how do I even put it? That there was a way he dealt with it where it no longer had so much weight? Let's at least just say
I'm pretty sure
part.
in 2015, this is when he's talking about how heavy this is on him, and that's in his career as rebel is a very young part. He starts in end of 2012, 2013, 2015, stuck. He's and
he was like 22 or something, right? 23?
At that moment, he's 20. Sorry, I probably should know this. He's 27.
Okay.
28.
All right.
Yeah, 28. So yes and no. I think it's interesting because through these 10 years of making both films now, we had conversations in 2016 and 2017, 2018, where there was a sense of knowing what was coming. He was one of the first people that PayPal stopped, kicking off. That platform started deplatforming before it was happening to anybody else. They're probably happening to a few other people, but he was such a precursor. So by the time it started actually getting into like mainstream conversation, I know mentally he was so over it. Like he saw it coming. It was almost like an anthropological study, but in real time. And I mean, it's been crazy to watch from this perspective of conversation, of talking, of watching his story. And then this cultural and social moment has only just been so massively inflamed. It's been an odd perspective to see everything happen in real time. So yeah, I think at one point, I don't think it ever stops bothering someone, especially if your work and your livelihood and the livelihood of all your employees. Right. I mean, he has a lot of employees. Right. Everything is based, and all you're getting is your payment processors constantly are being threatened to not work with you. Banks won't work with you. That conversation that he's having in 2015, that was one of the first times it started. And it's still happening. I think he lost another payment processor 6 months ago, if not earlier. So yeah, I think you just get a massive callus to it, but I don't think it ever becomes easier. You could ask him. But.
And there's elements of, because this is also what's interesting to me, I talk a lot on this fucking show about self-care. And it's, because it's been bastardized in a lot of ways from the, pretty 23-year-olds who want to do selfish things and say, it's because of my moon, I'm a Cancer rising. But ultimately, I feel like in order to keep regardless of what side or what, anarchist or this or that or whatever, what keeps me solid to the ground, what helps my perspective is keeping my focus on taking care of myself. Because otherwise I'm going to lose my mind just like the other side that I complain about, right?
Sure.
Symptom versus disease. But I also see a lot of people kind of go the opposite direction, especially in the anarchist area, in the libertarian area, to just go straight black-pilled. You know what I mean? Where it's just like everything's screwed and nothing matters and blah, blah, blah. I think there's an element of good in knowing that things are kind of screwed, right? Meaning, it gets tossed around a lot, no one is coming to save you.
Sure.
Right? There's a lot of like, oh, no, Trump's going to do it. No, RFK Jr., no, this guy, blah, blah, blah. But I personally feel, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, that no one is coming to save you is a good thing because it feels like, oh, wait a second, it puts the responsibility back in my hands. Mm-hmm. It helps me kind of trust myself more. It helps me feel like, okay, what am I capable of? Can I make my own food? Can I build my own house? Can I this? Can I that? What systems, rather than fighting the system within the system, what things can I step out of, sidestep? Because the bureaucracy is going to protect the bureaucracy and grow the bureaucracy, sure. And it's going to become a machine it already has. The payment processing, the this and the that he's dealt with. What are your thoughts on the black pill versus the white pill?
Sometimes you have to be black pilled to get white pills.
Okay.
But to sit inside the black pill is kind of like a really sad place. I think we've all probably, it's like that stagnation. So I think the best thing, like if people aren't creating or running up against politics and doing that stuff, they don't, it's just like the whole idea of like being a wife. Oh my gosh, that's such a nothing. No, it's an everything, right? So, I mean, it's just like being a husband. It's an everything, right? There's so much responsibility that just comes with being a person, right, and being a good person, right, that if you're just even trying to do that, you can't remain black-pilled. Yeah. Because you have to breathe positivity, mm-hmm, to either enliven your own life or to create something beyond the stagnation, right, that makes you lose, right? So, it was funny at Porkfest, and then I realized people were going to start asking me this, like, what is your politics? So I was like, oh shoot, now I got to get ready for it. I know, because you were there and you realized that I didn't really have an answer. I just said homeless.
Right.
And everybody laughed.
I kind of think that's good.
Yeah, but I was kind of thinking about it, and I mean, I like anarchism, individual agorism. I like individual. Anyways, I'm gonna call it acrobatic anarchy.
Okay. How do you describe it?
It's I'm interested in people playing with politics in creative ways. So creating rather than destroying, rather than protesting, building. I think that's probably the most successful way.
I like that.
Yeah. So you can't be black-pilled if you're creating.
No. And you can't be black-pilled, or you shouldn't be black-pilled. It's similar in that same thing. You're talking about like a wife and a this and a that. Boots on the ground, I see a lot of like, politics doesn't touch a lot of people's lives. As much as we get lost in the little, my social media bubble and all these people's and my podcast, and I get ramped up, right? Sure. And then I go outside and I look around. I remember I was in New York. I was living in Manhattan during the craziness of the pandemic. And something had happened. I think it was a protest of some kind. It might have been a George Floyd protest. And I'm all worked up. And I go outside and I see, oh no, it was the overturning. I think it was the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And I was like thinking like, okay, there's going to be protests and I'm mad and this and that. I'm in Manhattan, in the Upper West Side, whitest place in the world. And I'm, I'm kind of anticipating this thing. But then I look outside and I'm like, oh, there's everything's fine.
Yeah,
Like people are just
nothing.
playing around and they're
Sure.
sitting on the park and they're like eating and they're going and getting coffee. Relax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm saying that to myself and also to my people, because if we get out of sync, I've absolutely understood why someone might become so deeply entrenched in their ideas that they get blackpilled, that they lose footing and touch with reality.
Sure.
You know.
And but it's a destructive state, right?
Right.
And
And you're
nothing's
creative.
created in destruction. It can feel good,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but nothing's created within destruction. So yeah, I think the story of Death Athletic, the story of Cody Wilson, and it's not just about Cody Wilson, because it's about just the progress in 3D guns and ghost guns and the legality around it, but also other people like JStark that we can talk about for a second. They're creating. They have done nothing illegal. They are butting up against, well, I guess JStark did, but I mean, they are playing with politics in a very creative way. That's why it's like a techno-political documentary, because it's bringing technology and throwing it up against politics that has no way of dealing with it. Because if politicians aren't really creators, they're stiflers, right? You have to stifle things. You have to stop things. You have to save people from themselves because you have the better ideas. There's no creation.
No.
Nothing.
No.
You can create another bureau of tobacco. I don't know. That was the first thing that
There's
popped in
already-
my head.
Yeah, there's already.
Bureau of misinformation. That's more poignant.
Oh, that's coming.
But
Yeah,
that's not a
the
creation. That's
EU.
just more people working for government, right?
Right, but it's us who have given them the reins, and
Sure.
us who have given them, it's Muriel whatever from Upper West Side who has said, hey, politician, here's all this money that I've got nothing productive to do with it. So you know what? Rather than buy another house, another car, let me give this politician, give them pressure. And now the politician goes, oh, okay, enact a law. And then if we don't say, hey, wait. Oh, it's okay.
Sorry.
Don't break things. Death Athletic. If we don't, say, wait a second, government, you're not supposed to do that, they just kind of get away with it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, the government's going to break the law. And if we don't say, hey, wait, you're breaking the law, they get away with it. It's almost like they're testing us. You know what I mean? It's pretty impressive mental fucking, what's the word? Jumping
Acrobatics.
jacks. Thank you. Just gonna say that.
I mean, and that's that's why Bitcoin, that's why, everything that's been created on the technological front that makes politics completely like they don't know what to do is amazing. And that's
Yeah.
the front that has to be played. It's not throwing Molotov cocktails. That's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
It's
Not
creating.
that you shouldn't make some, but just to have. Let's not poo-poo everything.
But it's creating things that are outside of law, that hasn't been written down. Like, it's amazing, everybody, if you know the story and it gets into it in the film, they've all come after Cody. But there's so many other ways to access all this information just sitting there online, not getting in trouble. I find it funny because I want to list them, and then I'm like, I'm going to get them in trouble. But people have been listing them. Odyssey, library, everywhere. You can find all this gun information. And the ironic thing is Cody's the only person they would want the head of, because he wasn't the very first person to play with the idea of 3D guns, but he was the first person to absolutely market it to a really, really hungry journalistic crowd that went nuts for it.
And also, and we saw this with Waco, which Scott Horton did an incredible breakdown on at PorkFest. As much as I have friends there's a chick who follows me who just became a cop. I'm like, don't you follow me? Like, what are you doing, girl? But there's a thing about humans that, you made us look bad. You questioned our authority.
Sure.
Cody did that. Cody said, you know what? I'm not just gonna, I don't know why I'm doing Trump hands. I'm I'm not just going to sit quietly. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to dance around and be a little provocative, and I'm going to get attention. And people, you're going to look bad, AGF. You're going to look bad, DOJ. And that makes him mad.
And his problem is he's extremely smart and extremely charismatic.
Right.
So every time they brought him on a news feed, they were like, I'm going to get him.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it didn't land like they thought it would land, and that would just make him more quote unquote powerful with his threat.
Right.
More dangerous, as the Wired like to call him, one of the most dangerous people. It's an interesting story.
It really is. It's a good movie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
In the vein of danger, because one of the other things that, to talk about JStark and other heroes like that and things what they're doing, and you can explain a little bit about it, but in regards to the conversation we were just having, I think it's natural and normal and human, especially when things have been so chill, like things are in the West. We have a great life.
Yeah.
God, we have a great life, We
still do, even though it's tumultuous as hell right now. We still do.
And I was on I was on that farm for a week, and my phone didn't work very well unless I was at the house with the Wi-Fi. Yeah. And I was just like, these cows don't give a fuck who's president. You know what I mean? Like, sure. I could get lost in feeding myself and taking care of myself and planking down these, fence posts and all this shit. Eventually for my family, whenever they come along. I could do all this without being connected to it, and it doesn't really matter. Like, it really doesn't. Is it tumultuous? If I want it to be, in a way. I'm not saying it doesn't affect, but you know what I'm saying. But anarchy in this beautiful world that we have has a bad connotation because it underneath it is the fear that there's ill intent.
Sure.
And anarchy, we need to kind of disconnect that. And I feel like JStark, even Cody Wilson is an example of that, where it's just like anarchy doesn't mean that things are ill intent. This is actually a good thing. Yeah. Like, can you speak to that a little bit?
I mean, I think there's just different types of anarchy out there. It's not like one, to me at least, there's a, who was it? One of the first, Goldman was the first, books I started reading, Russian, this was 2013 or something. Anna Goldman, is that her name? Russian anarchist, wrote 2 books. She was actually one of the original people. She moved to the United States at one point and was teaching women birth control, basically. But to me, there's very different types of anarchy across the board. There's the types that are just doing destruction.
Molotov cocktail.
Yeah, doing that, and I guess we don't care if they do that here. And then there's the types of individuals that are just kind of, they're anarcho-capitalists. They're more just about individualism and, get off my lawn, and more sovereign state of mind. But to those, I feel like, to me, to have that state is also about, it's not a selfish culture. Because once you establish boundaries and liberty and beauty in your own life, we're not saying you can't, they're not saying, or we aren't saying you can't have it too. No, I'm demonstrating that we can all have that.
Correct.
Because we can protect ourselves, and in protecting ourselves, we protect our kids. And we want to find other people that can marry our kids that also know these things. And then you build a community that way.
Right, and people like the Starks and the Codys and the whatever are anarchists that are actually providing you with the ability to protect yourself from the malevolent anarchist with the Molotov.
If nobody knows about JStark, we found out later, was in Germany, and he basically, Cody got in trouble in 2018, and at that moment, everybody within the 3D gun space was like, what's going to happen? This was a big kind of blow. And JStark and Ivan the Troll had recently, I believe I haven't talked about this, so I need to refresh my memory, but I believe they met one another through one of the DefCAD forums, and they were kind of basically discussing how a lot of the things that were being put out needed to be tried, needed to be fixed, they weren't really great CAD files. And Cody's whole thing was always we are going to give you the perfect thing. It was always symbolism. It was always a threat to just threaten. It wasn't like they were, when Def Cat at that point is they're just like hoarding information, whatever information is, and putting it out there.
And
but
it was name your own price. It was free. It was
Yeah, well, that's because somebody finally was like, okay, you can, sell it. And one of the judges finally put it in black letter and said, you can sell it. You just can't have it free, like off the internet. Somebody just has to buy it. Cody never had intention to sell any of this stuff. But it was put in black letter, and it was like, at the beginning, it was like, name your own price. But so he gets in trouble. These gentlemen had started talking to one another. They thought at one point they'd be making stuff, I think, for Def Cat, for Cody. Cody gets in trouble, and they're like, we have to keep this going. Mm-hmm. And so via the forums that ended up moving to, what was it, I'm forgetting a group, communication app.
Right.
And they started like, let's build our own stuff. And they turned into a group called Deterrence Dispensed. So Deterrence Dispensed basically formed in 2018. And JStark was European. And he's like, okay, well, all of this is impossible for Europeans to do because we're in Europe and we have so many more. You can't buy like rifle pieces. You can't buy parts kits in Europe. So his idea was to make a gun that you could basically make from like their version of a Home Depot, home store, and then from a few things that you can get from China and other things. Like the rifling was made through electromagnetic engineering, I believe. Nice. And he successfully created the FGC 9, which was Fuck Gun Control 9. And he did that with Ivan and with Deterrence Dispensed, and they put it out in 2019, I believe.
Now, let me just make a quick note, because again, the people who are they won't see it anyway, because whatever. But to that point of the anarchism not automatically meaning malevolence, they made those files. Mm-hmm. And then they went on shooting sprees? No, they didn't. They had the capacity to make AR-15s from their printer, and yet there wasn't malevolence there. This was gentlemen for free trying to just, hey, take this, here's how to, essentially, a book dissemination. You know what I mean? That's all information.
It's information.
Yeah.
Information that is extremely information is not illegal. That's the funniest part of everything. I get reminded that a lot of people have never heard of Cody Wilson, never heard of this. Maybe they've seen like something that says 3D guns or ghost guns, but they've literally never. It's like this thing about stepping. Most people are out of politics and all of this in the first place, right. And it's refreshing. I was like, oh, you don't even know this story. That's great. So it's actually about information. A lot of people actually think Cody was actually physically giving guns to people to this day. And I was like, oh, you don't know the story whatsoever. It was just files on the internet. And that's the same thing that JStark created. But I think they really probably got him because he was literally printing them in Germany. And of course, you can't have these things in Europe.
Now, you just said they got him. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that? Because he passed away. You talk about it a little bit in the movie.
Yeah. He'd kind of hinted to people that his life was going to be short, that whatever that means, I don't know. A lot you can make things up in retrospect, and he's not here to talk about why he would say that. I believe he told someone that maybe he had like a health issue. But there was a sense within Deterrence Dispensed in the community that he always kind of hinted that he had to get something done because his life was going to be short. Fast forward, we're told that his heart gave out, right? That was the reason he died. So could he have had, because he was probably in his early 20s, I believe. Mm-hmm. Could that have been his weakness? Totally possible. I don't know. But you can...
Right.
Conspiracy theory, but supposedly he was, in his car in front of his parents' house, and he had a heart attack. And I also read that like they raided his place and they couldn't find anything, and that's why he was out. I have no idea.
So their raid coincided perfectly with his heart attack.
A few days later, he had a heart attack.
Okay.
But there's so little press. And the last time I spoke to him, texted with him was about like 3 months, 6 months prior. And then he kind of went quiet. And my understanding is he kind of went quiet across the board. And then we found out.
How did you engender trust with someone who is an anonymous person online, who's already, very watchful of feds?
For JStark?
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people trusted me because I'd been working with Cody for so long. And when deterrence dispense really just kind of busted on the scene, AG Leaks, who's online, was like, hey, do you want to come into our channel? You can meet all the guys. So he got me in their private channel, and I immediately started talking to them. At PorkFest, somebody asked me in the back, what's the one thing that you wish you'd gotten? And it took me a while because it didn't, I said something else, but then afterwards, I think I yelled it at him as he was walking on. I realized the one thing I wish I'd gotten was JStark, because he had invited me a year and a half before to come and meet him. And it was in the crux of COVID. And I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't, and I wasn't thinking he was going to pass. Jake Hannaran, got the opportunity to meet with him for Public Front. But I wish I had done that because, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have gotten him my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool to go a few more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know what time it is.
2:59.
Oh, yeah, we're fine.
Okay. Yes, we are. So, as far as engendering, you first reached out to Cody during No Control. Was there an element back then? I mean, you spoke about it earlier. You didn't necessarily have an agenda one way or another when it came to No Control. But how long did it take for Cody to be like, all right, she's not just a regular old media person?
Oh, goodness.
Because
Maybe
I'm interested in that.
you got to ask him. Maybe
Okay.
that took a bunch of years.
Okay. You're saying 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. He's still questioning.
Right. I mean, because it doesn't sound like obviously you have anarchy on the mind, which is beautiful. But it also doesn't sound like you were or are even now wanting to paint a picture that's fully propagandic or whatever. You're wanting to tell a story. You're wanting to explain what's going on. And yes, you have your opinions and you're putting that forth.
Sure.
But it doesn't feel like a lecture.
I think, well, thank you. I would hope not. Going to your first question, I put out No Control, and a lot of companies didn't know what to do with it when they were The Orchard bought it, which was awesome, because they couldn't paint it as a anti-gun film or a pro-gun film, because it's neither. It's smart or interesting people talking and sharing facts. It's so crazy. And that was an interesting learning experience about propaganda. And it was experience that maybe also Cody saw that and I was like, oh, wow, this person actually made something that she told me she was going to make. Because I had to convince him at the beginning, because there was a lot of people coming at him.
Yeah.
And a lot of places were coming at him and painting him in that, dark, dangerous, evil...
Frat guy, anarchist,
evil,
racist. I'm sure racist came in there somewhere.
It was quick to follow, if not at that moment.
Right.
So I think I'd built some trust with him prior to that, but maybe when he saw that, he was like, oh, wow, this person actually made what she said she was going to make. We just kept talking over the months. I have always been extremely curious about what he's doing. What's the next move? Guy's got lots of moves. Okay, they just killed you on this. What's your next move? Right. Always when even through the years, he was nothing's happening. And then 3 weeks later, I'd be like, okay, what's happening? And he's like, oh my God, okay, something's happening. I've made my mind up. I've created something. I'm doing something new. I'm making the ghost gunner. That's going to fuel my lawsuit and things like that. So yeah, I think he's trusted me because I just never sold him out. I think it would be such a disservice to sell out the person that you're working with in a documentary, even if I didn't like the person. There's a difference.
Ta-da.
You can make a film about the most despicable person and still just tell the facts.
Right.
Like, that's fine. That's not a sell. Like, that's fine. But there's a film. I'm gonna call out a filmmaker. There's a film that pissed me off. I think it came out in 2014, called American Cookbook or something. It was about the guy who created the anarchist cookbook. And I was like, oh my gosh, he got access. Like, oh, I want to make that film. Like, that great access that I never even thought that the writer was still around. And basically, it's the entire film is the director basically bludgeoning this guy into feeling shame. Like, the whole fucking film. I have never been so angry when I walked out of that film. Anyway, just because I was like, why? Why? You literally did not get into anything honest or real. You just kind of bludgeoned your idea. And that's basically the culture right now. Right. To bludgeon one's idea into anyone else. And if they say anything different, cannibalize them.
That's what I feel like is so... I mean, a couple of points to that, because I'm a singer-songwriter primarily. Yes, I have the show, and yes, I make fire memes and shirts. I hate doing that shit. I fucking hate... Anyway. But artistic integrity is the most important thing for me. And that's easy to say because I'm supporting myself and I'm not destitute. No one's dangled the carrot in front of me, whatever. But my favorite motherfuckers are
just
the ones
dangled
who...
10 million, you got me. No,
I could be bought for
I got my limit.
Couple of sandwiches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got me at 10. Let's go.
But that's the most... Like, my heroes were the ones who, even if... Frank Zappa, I believe, is one of the greatest composers of all time. And he was... truthfully himself to the end. Did I agree with everything the motherfucker said? Fuck no. Do I love every album? No. There's like 65 of them. He made some dog shit. But I support because I was sold on him. And why was I sold on him? Because he was sold on himself. Because he knew, he didn't dumb it down for me. He didn't water it down for me. Stupid Trent Reznor is another example of that. Regardless of the fact that I don't agree that he left, Twitter, because Elon, he was crying about Elon. But at every step of the way, he doesn't water it down. He has artistic integrity. This is what he wants to make. And he's going to be like, hey, I'm going to make an album or two, which is just instrumental shit. I know most of you won't like it because you only like me for Closer, but I'm going to put it out there anyway, so fuck it. The people who I look up to artistically are that way. And I find it's a difficult road to walk. Because, the show is called Conservatish. I have motherfuckers who follow me because they're like, so, yeah, you get the libs. And then I make a meme about them, and they're like, but you're not... But they can't call me a fucking snowflake because I'm pointing it everywhere.
Sure.
I'm trying to help us. I'm trying to help us, not just center, but also doing it in a creative way and put art above message. You know what I mean? And
sure.
I'll end that rant by just saying, one of the things I always point to is the difference between Jon Stewart and Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah had no one is baying for, where's Trevor Noah? We want him back. No one cares. Because Jon Stewart, regardless of what you agree with him or not, he valued comedy above message. Maybe he doesn't now, but back then, comedy, he made sure you make sure you fucking laugh first, message second. The people who put message above art cheapen both. Right?
Sure.
And I feel like with this, I was kind of, not that I had any expectations going into watching the film, but there is, especially at a, you've gotten paid to create this story. So I'm sure there sometimes is times where in the artist world where you're like, if I just cut this little ideological corner here, I might be able to sell it as a something. But you didn't do that throughout.
Well, nobody was paying me.
But I'm saying you could have. Do you understand?
That's why it's 10 million. Then you got me. No, no.
But do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
It seems like you valued art above message.
Yeah, it never crossed my mind.
That.
None of that ever crosses my mind,
Right.
Because I don't know. That would be, I don't know. That's just awful.
Right.
And also, my characters talk for themselves. That's this is not. I'm. My other film was a little bit more like sit down and conversation, and many people talking about certain things, and that's a style. This film,
none of this focused on you.
Yeah, I don't want to make a. I'm not a journalist. I'm a filmmaker. But also, it's not about me. To put me in it is like one response I've gotten is like, oh, you need to have somebody else giving their unbiased opinions on Cody, and I was like. So I'm going to ask someone a question and their answer is going to be unbiased? How does that work exactly? How can someone produce something that's an opinion that's unbiased? That's illogical. Like, how can someone tell me what they think about Cody and not even know the person in the first place? And also, it's like that's the whole idea of like people putting their own morals on somebody else's activity.
Right.
You, as an audience, can watch both my films, listen to the people talking, and decide for yourself.
Right.
If you're convinced, one way or the other, that's awesome.
Right.
You don't have to like bludgeon your characters with your opinion. As a filmmaker, to find a story.
And so the next movie is going to be about strumpets and like muffins and things. Like you're gonna ants. Just a nice
lots of ants.
Are you working on another one?
There's an idea. There's an idea brewing. I have another something that's that we want to pick back up, but there's an idea brewing. But I have to meet the person first.
Okay.
I can't really talk about it yet.
Okay.
But man, I can't fund this by myself this time. So I'll have to have backing. I mean, it's just painful. Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's a little dangerous.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
We're on the right show. We'll start wrapping up.
Okay.
This is your second feature film.
Yeah.
You've got ideas of where you're going. What do you feel like? And this might be a hack art line, but I don't give a fuck. What's the ultimate goal for you? And maybe not even goal as far as achievement, but goal as far as singularity of artistic message or integrity, like we were just talking about, whatever. What's the ultimate goal for you?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I want to make films that are intellectually stimulating, and I will put that in the same form as I also want the people that have given me access to their life to step out of it and still have respect for me. I think that is...
Step out of what?
Step out of the experience.
Okay.
Of documentaries are so intrusive, and they're intense, and they're weird. It's like being someone's personal assistant. You're like in their life, and you're, helping them, I don't know, deliver their UI cup to their doctor. It's weird. I was a personal assistant. Let's not go there.
God, all right, that'll be on the next episode.
But like, it's like, it's a lot happening at once. And I think to step out of experience of creation in which the people that that help let you in your life turn around and despise the creation would be an awful thing for me. I would think that would be like the worst type of.
But there's some people who do that intentionally, who like gotcha,
and they won't be my friends.
Right.
I think it's quite despicable.
Okay, so to tell impelling story, impactful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Compelling. There we go.
Compelling
stories while keeping the folk of the character, the people who are involved, respecting you.
Yeah, respecting or just like giving an honest portrayal of what is captured. I mean, everything is a manipulation of an image, right? You can't edit. I mean, this film in some ways has so much music. I mean, there's 63 songs. It's music.
And none of them are from Peter Feliciano.
No,
fucking selfish, racist.
We just met.
It was great.
You are really racist. I can't believe it.
Yay! Follow me online.
No. So it's like honest portrayal, or honest portrayals. That's what I want to create.
Right. Any fantasy or non? What's the word? You would know this as
non-documentary.
Yeah.
I might go back. I might
Back? What do
I
you mean
mean, back. I started in, just working in the film business. I never thought I
okay.
was going to be in documentaries.
Oh, okay.
And when I started thinking that I was going to start making something, I thought I actually was going to film something I was writing at the time. So this is a 10-year tangent, man. Both making films and both fiction and nonfiction is difficult. You're either selling your story at the very beginning or you're selling it in some ways at the end, but which I'm doing now. So, yeah.
Okay. Speaking of selling it at the end,
Yep.
ideally, again, it's going to be coming out in October.
Yep.
We're going to have a premiere. And then where will people who are not in Austin, New York, and LA going to
When the trailer comes out, probably in September, we're going to do a pre-sale via the website, deathathletic.com. Pre-sale via the website because it would be nice to do that rather than just sell through all the streaming. That basically takes everything. And then when it goes online, I'm right now currently getting it on Amazon and iTunes and Google Play and all those things. So that, legitimizes the film.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a pre-sale, but is there any other way that someone might be able to support your work?
Yeah, sure. You can donate. You can with crypto. You can
But where
hit
can
me
they
up.
do that?
I think I still have some links. By the time this shows, I'll have the
Right.
links online.
But you also have nocontrol.com, or what's the
Yes,
name of that
nocontroldoc.com.
Okay.
Yes, there you can buy direct. I actually just got all the rights back, so I haven't put it back online. So right now you can just buy it direct from me, and there's some extras. It's all on the website. And you can buy with crypto as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to promote?
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm wonderful. I'm very humble. All right, go to deathathletic.com, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
And this will be coming out probably, I guess, in a couple of months. We'll see.
And mid to end of October, it'll be out.
Okay. By then, I'll have hair.
Oh, yeah?
Wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribe, share, rate, and review. Find me online on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano and on Twitter at Rule62Peter. And appreciate you very much. Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you again, Jessica Solce.
Jessica.
Racist.